Bad news about to break on the felon and his administration. Should we expect something bad this weekend or possibly the early part of next week? Let's look into that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who likes, watches, and comments on the videos. Um, if you promote the channel in any way by sharing the videos or posting them on your social media, huge thank you. Um, if you've given money to the channel through the Venmo, Buy Me a Coffee, the super thanks, a huge thank you. And if you watch the videos but you're not subscribed, I'd really encourage you to subscribe. We're really getting close to 20,000 subscribers. It'd be great if we break that in the next week. Okay, so something has felt off all week about the felon. Something felt off about the plane. That's why I kept looking into it. Um, I've just had this feeling that there's going to be something coming forward that's going to make the public take a back seat and really look at this administration with kind of fresh eyes. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I think it involves scandal. Could either be insider trading scandals that actually get more placed on a timeline that really spells it out to people. Could be something in regards to a health incident that he had while overseas that he knows exists on tape and is eventually going to come out. Um, we've discovered from the crazy journalists that are in this country that are just utterly shameful that they will hold on to secrets for months and months and months before publishing them, which is, in my opinion, shameful. Um, Bob Woodward, Jake Tapper, both very, I respect Bob Woodward, but holding on to these things to make a buck is not the right way to go about it. So, um, is there something like that the felon already knows is there, but kind of thinks maybe it might not come out right away because people like Jake Tapper exist where they don't care to release any information if they can't make any money? Okay, why today, this video today? Well, when I looked at the news earlier today, it was the felon had truthed or tweeted that Taylor Swift is no longer hot. Now, putting the misogyny aside and the blatant sexism, uh, why would he be tweeting about that at this point? The other thing in the news that really I find interesting, and we'll read about this one, is James Comey had posted something on Instagram of some seashells that spelled out the number 8,647. And so the felon is saying that this is a blatant call for his assassination because the idea is 8,647 means 8647. Seems like, I mean, I guess it's in the realm of possibilities, but did Comey actually intend for it to be that? And should we expect more losses in court for the administration over the next few days into the early part of next week? And then let's look at his health. Is there something brewing there as far as a scandal? And is there something brewing in the administration as far as a scandal? So let's start with James Comey. So James Comey tweeted, or not tweeted, Instagrammed this picture of seashells arranged to spell out this number 8,646. So with the card overlooking the ocean, I think that's just kind of confirmation that the cards are going to do what we want them to do. What do we need to know about this Comey post? Did the people that spelled out the number or wrote the number in seashells, did they intend it to be that? 8647, 8,647. Is this an assassination call? Is this going to become code? I mean, the felon and his gang don't mind code numbers. They've been wearing anti-Holocaust code numbers for the entire time he's been running for president. So, or Holocaust denying numbers, I should say. Do we need to know about this post, this number, the people that did it, James Comey? Wouldn't be surprised if they tried to charge James Comey with something. Um, Seems like a bit of a stretch to make it a serious crime, but never know. I do feel like they're going to, they say they're investigating. I do feel like they're going to try to charge him with something, retribution. I don't think it'll work out in his film. We'll read on that when it happens. We get the Ace of Wands. It's a fiery new beginning. I sensed this about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I think I posted a video on it that like the energies have shifted in the US. People went from kind of, okay, this is our reality to, oh my goodness, to holy, to now I'm really, really angry. And you can kind of feel that. And if you go to the grocery store, I went to the grocery store yesterday. I mean, a lot of the produce that you would buy that comes from Mexico and South America just isn't in the shelves anymore. Again, there were no bananas, there were no hot peppers, there were no there weren't very good tomatoes. The only tomatoes were from Georgia. It just and it's a little bit too early in our part of the woods for the farmers market. So there's something going on there. I noticed a few other things that were also in short supply. Get the King of Wands in the here and now, or in the environment around. This is this passions. This is kind of, I think it represents Comey, but I think it represents on a broader level the passion of the people in the country wanting to stand up to this crazy type of leadership that's going on. And we get Judgment in the upper right. We get the King of Cups. This is the card for the Democrats and the environment around. I do think it is true that a lot of people wake up every morning and wonder to themselves before they grab their phone or turn on the news or whatever, is today the day that he's gone? I think a lot of people are looking forward to that day. And that is says something because it's not really in the culture to look at death as something to look forward to. It's the Knight of Pentacles, something coming forward about money. It's interesting. You get Russia and the environment around, the Empress card. We get stability. Things behind the scenes that we can't see, the High Priestess. Okay, this makes a lot of sense. And we get the Devil card. So is this, I think this was just a playful thing. Somebody with seashells wrote out the number. Did they intend for it to mean what it meant? I think so. I think that's what they intended for it to mean. Although I don't think they were actually thinking that anybody would take it seriously or discover it along the beach. I don't know, something like that. But the felon's type of leadership is making people worried about their money. And it's making people just sick and tired of all the lies, all the misinformation, all the disinformation, the toxicity, the abuse of power. It's people are getting exhausted and they're reaching their breaking point. And I think that might be why this is being brought up in the news, is because there's probably been several thwarted assassination attempts or plots. A couple of them we've heard about. People's economic security, getting messages about money and then passing judgment. So people are worried that their economic security is being challenged. And I think we all kind of feel this, right? It's like it just it's hard to spend money on things other than food for us personally. It's hard to justify, taking that chance. It's better to have a little bit in reserve kind of a feeling. So there are things behind the scenes we can't see. There's a lot of passion and fire out there, a lot of hatred towards him, which is completely justifiable. We get the Russian angle as well. People are very upset about that. They might not know that's what they're upset about, but they know they're upset that the US really isn't respected around the world anymore. And then this latest Qatari thing with the plane is just more of a thing. It's like, a lot of people have too much pride to take gifts of like a significant value. And the fact that the leader of the country doesn't is disturbing. And we have the Democrats. The Democrats are looking into some things. So this post about the seashells, did Comey mean it that way? The truth is he probably did. He'll deny it, and he probably should deny it. Um, will he be charged with something? I think he probably will. I don't think it'll be anything serious, and I don't know that it'll go anywhere, but it'll be another distraction. Justice is ultimately coming, and it might be a karmic justice. The waters are choppy now, but we're heading towards a place where they're not. Get the chariot card. That's interesting. I talked a little about this with the Qatari plane. People aren't happy with the kidnappings, the ICE, people wearing masks. And then we get the end of a cycle. Interesting. And then we get the death card. So I think this very much was exactly as they say, a call for violence. Okay. So I think Comey probably knew what it meant. I don't think Comey's advocating violence in any stretch of the imagination. But I mean, I knew what it meant when I read it right away. So I can't imagine that he was that naive. But okay. So since we just pulled all those death cards and world card, ends of cycles, is there something about his health that's going to come out? Does he know there's something brewing about that? Does some journalists have information about that? Again, you can't trust the journalists in the United States. They'll hold on to information that's very valuable so they can make money rather than just doing what's right for people, that's right for the country. I mean, I'm never a big Jake Tapper fan, but even less so now. Like when it could make a difference, they don't talk about it. Okay. So there's something brewing about his that's about to become public. Does he think there's something that's going to come public about his health? Don't know that it actually becomes public. I think he's fearing it. Did he fall asleep again in some sort of meeting when he was in the Middle East? Did one of his, what I'm getting, this is an odd one, but what I'm getting is that maybe one of his aides might have messed up and had to provide a list of medications they were bringing into the country when they went to the Middle East. There might see something on that he's worried about. Hmm. I know a lot of medications are illegal in those countries. That's interesting idea. The seeds have been planted that he's not well. He knows that. The greedy merchant and the environment around. Unlikely partnerships, the lover's card in the upper right. Yeah, something coming to the surface in the environment around. Hmm. The devil card, mis and disinformation, toxicity, abuse of power. In regards to his health, it makes sense that something might be coming forward then. Again, deceit, deception, thievery, trickery in the environment around, with the devil card at the center. The illusion and delusion card, which also could represent some abusive substances. Um, a new beginning, a new reality in the environment around. And then the King of Wands. Yeah, okay. This makes perfect sense. So he's quite well aware that the seeds have been planted that he's not healthy and not in a cognitive way. And so they're doing everything they can to keep that at bay, spreading mis and disinformation, lying, just blatantly abusing their powers in order to make it seem like he's still in charge, still uh, at the, still healthy. Let's put it that way. He's still in charge. That part's true. Um, but making it seem like he's still capable of doing the job, although I don't know that he ever was. So we get a lot of illusion and delusion, a lot of this mis and disinformation, this need to cover things up, which is leading to some sort of unlikely partnership. I don't know who knows what, but somebody knows something. That's the other part of the lover's card, the unlikely partner. They're keeping it secret for now. So there's a lot of mystery, a lot of deception, a lot of trickery and thievery, purposefully keeping things away from us. But things will eventually start to bubble to the surface, and we'll get information about the greedy merchant who is him, the felon, and then it'll give everybody a new outlook on him, and it'll just change how people think about him. Get the Knight of Cups, some sort of emotional message coming forward that's going to require them to defend themselves. So I do think there's something out there about his health that somebody knows that is keeping it secret, and they're aware of that. So that could be what's coming forward. Okay, what about scandals and losses in courts? Let's just first look at the courts. So will the administration get more losses in the courts? Will the courts start to be more bold? So now they're arguing that some of the information on Mr. Garcia's national security and can't be revealed. So there's a hearing about that. I think the Supreme Court will find a clever way of ruling on the case they heard about birthright citizenship, which both limits district courts from imposing nationwide injunctions, but also keeps the injunction in place, or fast tracks its way to ruling on the injunction, something along those lines. I think that's coming. So we get the Two of Cups partnerships, the greedy merchant again, in the same position as the last reading. Get the Hermit in the upper right. The Ace of Wands again from the first reading. This time in the environment around this fiery new way of doing things, which is completely blatantly unconstitutional in most regards. At the center of the reading, this makes perfect sense, is the emperor, the presidency, the abuse of power. It's not even about the felon himself, it's just about the presidency and how they're abusing the power from that position. And the courts recognize this, and that's why, you know, they don't want to set precedent. Get the Wheel of Fortune, things going possibly against him. Things are turning. Maybe they don't know which way it's going to go, so they're preparing for both. The Knight of Cups, emotional messages being told. The Page of Cups, more emotional messages coming forward in the environment. And the Four of Cups. So, yeah, so we get the judiciary and even some Trump appointees, I think at one time thought they were fairly aligned with him. But then all of this abuse of power started with these crazy executive orders. And then we get the Four of Cups energy where they just don't really want to deal with what's being handed to them. So they're just going to make it go away and probably strike it down. And messages coming forward about why they're doing what they're doing is going to leave them kind of isolated and alone in the public's eyes. So it causes them to lose more support. And so messages coming forward about this crazy new way of trying to run the country that's all about greed and deceit is going to cause the fates to turn and most likely turn against him. I don't see them turning for him. Never have. So juggling money, overseas influence, all that stuff's relevant. They'll be defending themselves in the courts. And again, we get the World card, the end of a cycle. It's like, I feel like after so many of these get struck down, maybe they'll stop trying. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but I also think that the felon goes away. So maybe that's just what happens. I mean, it could happen sooner than the timeline, I think, which is in the Octoberish, Novemberish, Septemberish range. Okay, is there another scandal about to break? Let's use this. So it was revealed that Pam Bondi sold a bunch of Truth Social stock right before it collapsed. Very much feels like there's a lot of insider trading going on. Then we have the Signal chat. They did get rid of Walls. Could be another Signal chat part 2. Could be another Hegseth incident. Scandal. I think so. I think it, the two people I'm drawn to the most are Bondi and Hegseth as being part of the scandal. Yeah, so we get Russia, the environment around influencing things. Very much feels like a Hegseth type energy. We get the Chariot and the environment around. There may be more information revealed about exactly how ICE has been operating. Um, the courts have released several people that were wrongfully detained already. Um, wouldn't surprise me if there's like a bigger revelation about how people are being trafficked, the links that they're going to get them. There was a soccer game in North Carolina where the stands were about half empty and people held up signs saying, a lot of people aren't here because they were worried about ICE raids at a soccer game. Get the Queen of Cups, empathy. Lots of burdens in the environment around choices at the center of the reading, blind choices, the Two of Swords, guardrails, the Nine of Wands, and the environment around. It's like the guardrails are going to hold and reveal something. The Four of Cups again, barely being able to keep their heads above water, not being able to keep up with the news cycle. They're about to sink, so to speak. We get the Queen of Wands, passion, and the environment around this feels very much like a Letitia James type energy. And circles of support around money. So I think what's going on, something about Russia perhaps, and choices that were made that led to some circles of support that people aren't going to be terribly pleased to find out about. They currently feel like they can't keep their heads above water because of some of the choices they've made. And they never realize that people actually really care about the country and not about him. I think they always mistook those two things for being the same, and they're not. Although for 35% of the country, they are. Something about the chariot card, movements, trafficking, burdens. But then we get this fiery type leadership that feels like a prosecutor of sorts, probably at the state level, just because they control the federal government. And we get guardrails being established or holding. So I do think that we're going to see a scandal break here soon. I feel like it involves both Bondi and Hegseth and possibly Kristi Noem as well. If one plan doesn't work, try another, and then we get full illumination and a new beginning. So it feels that way. It feels like something big's going to break this weekend or this week. Some court cases lost. I think somebody knows something about his health. I don't know that it'll come out because they might play the Jake Tapper and just, or Mike or John Bolton, who sat on information for a year before publishing it, or Bob Woodward. This rewarding people for withholding information, it feels wrong to me, but that's the world we live in. So, all right, thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video soon.